Are you ready to take your business to the next level? Every day there are countless books and articles that are published offering the key on how to make your business a success. It's easy to feel overwhelmed trying to keep up and run your business. That's why Deb Creer created the Business Power Hour. Keep up on the latest trends, best practices, and techniques for how to make your business a success. Let the Business Power Hour do the heavy work for you.
Good morning, good morning. I am Deb Creer, and I am passionate about giving professionals the tools that they need to make themselves and their businesses as successful as possible. And I am so excited today because we have a great guest who's going to be on the program. And not only that, she's bringing her own guest. This is so much fun. I love this. We've done, 807 programs, and I've never had a guest bring a guest. So this is so much fun because it's going to double the fun, double the knowledge, double the energy, double everything. And so I'm going to announce my guest first. So please join me in welcoming Stacey Hall to the program. Welcome, Stacey. How are you doing today?
Deb, I'm thrilled to be in the studio with you. Thank you.
I love it. Well, let me tell people a little bit about you. So Stacey Hall has coached thousands of entrepreneurs on how to attract sales, satisfaction, and success. She is a best-selling author, a TEDx presenter, and a leading social media marketing expert. She is the creator of the groundbreaking social media marketing training program, Go for Yes, which has helped thousands of people attract more sales, customer and employee satisfaction, and success. Her new book, which is her fifth, is Selling from Your Comfort Zone, The Power of Alignment Marketing. And so now I'm going to have Stacey introduce Carolina Billings, who is her guest for the program.
And I am very honored that Carolina chose to come into the studio with us. And I'm going to say, because she's one of the case studies, her business, Powerful Women Today, is a case study in my fifth book, Selling from Your Comfort Zone. I chose her because Carolina had a brainchild 10 years ago. I love people who interrupt what's going on in the rest of the world with what's true.
Right.
And she saw such a need for women around the globe to be empowered. Even though there were so many other opportunities to be empowered, she saw the gaps that were missing.
Right.
And over these years has developed this amazing one-stop shop, if you will, for supporting women in their personal life, but most importantly, into coming into their own as influencers of others, men and women, through Powerful Women Today. And so, Carolina, thanks for accepting my invitation to come in and say more about the wisdom you shared in the book.
Thank you, Stacey. A pleasure. You know, life is so organic, and that's what I love about the constant changing of women empowerment. What does it mean? What does it feel like? So thank you so much for including me in your book, and thank you, Deb, for including us in your podcast today.
I love it. And we've got a power triad going on here. I'm in Atlanta, Stacey is in Las Vegas, and Carolina is in Toronto. So this is great. Gotta love technology, right?
Oh gosh.
Well, 5 years ago we couldn't have done this. And so I love being able to do this. Well, what I typically do now is I ask my guests to tell us about how they got to where they are today. And so Stacey, go first, and then Carolina, let's hear from you.
It's a long story that I'm going to shorten. And I will also say, if anybody reads the book or what's an excerpt from the book, you can get more of the story because I did put it in the book. I got here because I'm the daughter of a salesperson. And I saw my father with a desire to help people go out every day with this desire and come back every day dejected. Not so much because he wasn't making sales, but because his way of being with people, which was very friendly, very supportive, very honest, my father didn't know how to be any other way, would be disencouraged, right? Told he needs to change himself. And so I heard these sales tapes over and over and over again with put on and get a thicker skin, right? Grow some I'm just going to say this, ladies,
some parts.
grow some balls, right? Like we could.
Mhm.
Get out of your comfort zone
Mhm.
and get out there and make that sale,
Right.
right? So when I grew up and I went into business and I'm doing sales and marketing, the good news is I was able to connect with companies that really liked a different style. I sought out companies that went with a different style, and I did very well, which proved to me that you don't have to get outside of your comfort zone. You can use your comfort zone of your values, of your strengths to be your power zone. So that's how I got here. Everything that I've been able to accomplish, if you will, in terms of being able to help others in business has come from staying true to my values, true to who I am, true to how I want to be in communication with people. And then I was asked if I would write, and I'm going to hold it up one more time, the Selling from Your Comfort Zone book, because this is the time for it now.
Right.
People are willing to accept maybe you don't have to go so far outside of yourself in order to be successful. So that's gets me here.
Right. And so Carolina has actually been working with Stacey to develop her great organization. So let's hear a little bit more about you, Carolina.
Certainly. So Powerful Women Today began as a passion project 12 years ago. So never underestimate where a passion project will take you. A lot like Stacey, it's really the result of filling in the gap, right? When whenever you identify something that is missing, it's an opportunity for you to bring in your leadership to it. And I was going through it began personal. I was going through a personal change in my life, and going through a divorce. Sorry, now that means so many things. That it's just a divorce, and I couldn't find the right organization for what I wanted to do. So for me at the time, it was at so what now what, right? Is now you've gotten here, what can you do? And even a friend of mine said it perfectly. He said, you're 20 again, except that you now have a credit card and a car. What are you going to do with your life?
I like that.
And I thought, you know what? Yeah, exactly. So I looked for different groups. What I found were mainly, they were either very nurturing and they had not finished processing the eventuality of whatever they were going through, or they were business groups, right? And but there was nothing really in between to address the woman behind the success.
Right.
And that is how Powerful Women Today began, about the empowerment. And where 10 years later, we had become a business where I had taken a sabbatical to do my doctorate in that very point. And a business grew from it at that time, and advanced that 10 years later. And Stacey and I were, working. We're both thought leaders and business influencers, and we came across each other. And she was speaking of, your comfort zone, and I'm speaking of empowerment, which is really about you feeling good in your own skin, arriving at your own door. And that is when we're like, okay, you know what? We're kind of addressing the same thing, and we are speaking of similar concepts, but coming at it from different points of view. How great is that, right? There's more than one way to get to the same outcome, which is what women world is craving right now. And that's how our collaboration began. And now we work on championing women to really feel comfortable in their own comfort zone and their own version of empowerment, and then to achieve whatever it is that they want to achieve.
Right. I love this. And I think it's, obviously we have men who are listening to this program. And so gentlemen, don't turn this off. Keep listening, because you have women in your lives that you need to make sure here's this information. Plus, Stacey's information really is for everybody. But yeah, so it is so interesting because, when we talk about sales, we all make a face, right? Ugh, I don't want to do sales. And it comes from, the concept of the used car salesman. And then I remembered something the other day that even made me think of it more. When you're in a department store, a Macy's, a whatever, and you get pounced on at the cosmetics counter by the woman who sprays the perfume in your face. And there's just so many things wrong with that, not the least of which somebody might have allergies. But you always look at those women, and to a person, they never look like what they're doing is fun and that they are enjoying it. And I think, when I was reading Stacey's book, one of the things that really struck me was we absolutely have to be loving what we're doing. Because if we're not, then it's not going to matter at all. We can know what we're doing. We can, we have to love what we're doing. And what I really liked was when you were talking about the fact that we have to use, if we're in sales, we need to use that product. How can you talk about it if you've not used it, right? And so, I think it's just so important to really know that it has to be our passion, even if you're working for somebody else. So Stacey, kind of talk to us more about that.
And well, can you tell I'm beaming? I know you read the book.
I did. I'm a good host. I read the book. Mm-hmm.
You read the book, and I can tell you agree. And and you're absolutely right. First, shout out to the men. Even Powerful Women Today has a men's co-op division, right? Mm-hmm. The co-ed division. My book also has been taken off by storm by men who are very proud to be able to say they're reading it and following it, because that's the point. In this day and age, we're tired of phony.
Right.
We're tired of trying to pretend. It's too hard to pretend anymore. And I'm going to share a statistic, which really, there are two statistics actually, as to why this book was written, and going back to what you're saying about why is it important to love what we do. First off, 55% of people in sales believe they're selling the wrong thing. Then why are they selling it? Like, what was the motivation to go represent something you're not really passionate about? Okay. And that number's going to grow, because we're also hearing more and more people are deciding it's time to do service, make work service, turn it into a calling, make our time on this earth worth something, not just worth the paycheck. And so this is the crux of, if you're passionate about what you love to do, people will feel that. They'll get that enthusiasm kick from you as well. They'll want to feel more enthusiastic. They'll be more interested in knowing, where are you getting this enthusiasm from? And they will be more open to engaging with us. Right. And so in a nutshell, that's it.
I love that. And because we do have to be passionate about it. And it's really funny that when we talk to solopreneurs and entrepreneurs, and we'd say, hey, you are doing sales, and they make the face. And it's like, well, you mean you don't believe in your own product or your own service? And I think it's because it's not that they don't, because clearly they wouldn't be doing it if they didn't, but they don't know how to channel that passion, or how to even figure it out. Because I think that the problem is we all have these misnomers in our head about what sales is. We think sales is the hardcore sell, the flashing lights, buy for me, buy for me, buy for me. And, we don't even think about know, like, trust. We don't think about building relationships. We just think, the only thing you're doing is selling, and you might be selling to people who don't even really want what you're selling. So that leaves you with an icky feeling, and of course, sales is far from that.
Yeah. And I think, sorry, fine.
No, Carolina, I was going to say,
just jump in.
I know you've got an opinion on this. I'd love to hear it too.
I always have an opinion. The thing is this. So my background comes from corporate. So I'm a former CFO, CHRO
Mhm.
of $100 million plus corporation. So we traditionally think of sales, even both, and we're going to address it from the personal and in the business sense, that sales is a department, right?
Right.
It's as erroneously as thinking that leadership is human resources, right? Like if you want leadership, go down that hall to the left, right? It's not like everybody's in sales. I remember in the early days of social media, a lot of the policy for corporations was to limit employees having access to social media, never thinking all your employees can be
Right.
ambassadors of your
Right.
product and organization.
Don't you
right?
want them to be?
But it's an evolution, right? Like it goes to control and who knows, anyways, that's another conversation for another day. But the point is, sales it has evolved so much, right? Especially again, we think of only professional sales, but sales is really getting the buy-in. I wish we came up with a new word for sales. And
Right.
Stacey, maybe that's yours and my mandate for the next, for level 2. Because every day with everything you are marketing and sales, from your choice of clothing to your choice of language to your choice of, if you're a solopreneur in an entrepreneur, everything you do is to get the buy-in. And getting the buy-in is sales.
Right.
Simple as that. Getting your children to put away their shoes from the hall is sales. If done so in a relationship and ongoing, right? Not from an autocratic because I say so. Because
Right.
that's no longer the case. So we're seeing, the all roads lead to Rome kind of scenario where we're shifting. We are going through a generational shift in the workplace. We're going through a change in consumer behavior. Nobody buys the because I say so anymore. It's all about show me. Social proof is today's currency.
Right.
And in the same with professionalism. Long are the days. How many professionals have lost their jobs because of something they've done after hours?
Right.
Because what Stacey said, there's no difference anymore. We just can't fake it. The world is, ongoing recording our every move and ready to provide the receipts to anything we say online. So now you gotta have authentic leadership, which is really what you're doing by sharing your solution, in my opinion.
Right. Right. Stacey, you look like you're ready to leap in.
Yeah, well, I'm just going to say, Carolina knows that I agree with this. It's why this wisdom, I had heard her share, and I said, we got to get that in the book.
Right.
So ditto, ditto, ditto. If I was going to add anything onto it, it is simply that there's a reason why people have an aversion to the word sales, the aversion to the word salesperson. And it comes from all the sales training. It goes back to what I said, these decades of training to teach people how to overcome objections, which is actually training people to not be who they are. Most people don't go through life thinking they're going to get no's everywhere they go.
Right.
They don't. I mean, I'm sure, Deb, if you did, why would we ever get out of bed? Right? We go out, we think we're going to meet people. We think, yeah, maybe once in a while we'll meet a bad apple. Mostly we're going to meet people we enjoy talking to. Let's explore talking to those people. Then you go, you get a job representing a company, corporate or not, and all of a sudden you're told, expect the no's.
Right. And here is how to convince them otherwise.
That's it. On this list, right? They're going to tell you this. They're going to tell you this. You're going to tell you, if you let them tell you that, you've lost the war, right? You've lost the battle. You have to be in control. And this all goes back to psychology. And that's what I feel is, how can we be, Deb, you got me going now. I probably
That's
didn't
fine.
let you ask the next
Keep going.
question.
Keep going.
Okay. We're told sales is human behavior, right? Understand human behavior. Well, if you understand human behavior, you understand psychology. Also, as Carolina talked about, we've progressed so far with it's all out there. So much brain technology has also been studied. Somebody who hears the word no is not likely to get up and get inspired. They're more likely to become dejected and depressed. That is not a state we want salespeople to be in. Okay? Those that can deal with the no, it is like putting a red cloth in front of a bull.
Right. They take it as a challenge.
There is a small portion. And those are the people that have created this languaging around sales for the rest of us. So that means those are the people who are successful because they go out there and they push and they push and they push. They follow up, they follow up, they follow up, they follow up, they follow up. And eventually they wear people down.
Right.
So, like I said, there's so much in this arena. I'm going to let you ask some questions, but let's just go there. Why do salespeople have a bad rap?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Or bad rep is because of this kind of training.
Right. And it's funny because when I was reading your book, I was thinking back long ago, to, I think my first job out of college, I did hotel sales.
Yeah.
In Denver, so this was when we lived in Colorado, and I hated it. Oh, I just hated the whole thing. But then reading your book, I really started thinking more about why did I not like it? Well, the first was, I got zero training, nothing at all. And I mean, I'm like this, my little diploma, the ink was still not dry on it. And so, and my degree was in social science, right? So that really does a lot for sales, right? And so, I got zero training. I was in hotel sales. And so the goal was that I would get people to, to say, okay, hey, we're going to book 10 rooms and we're going to use your meeting room and we're going to do yada, yada, yada.
Right.
And then I got to thinking about it and I realized just yesterday, never did I see a hotel room, the inside of one of our hotel rooms. I never saw any of our conference rooms. We had a restaurant on site that none of us ate from because the food was not all that good. And, and so then I was thrust out into the world and I had, the sheet that I was to keep track on. Who did I see? What did we talk about? And I hated it. I mean, I just absolutely hated it. And I am, I'm Miss Social, I can go make friends with a tree. I absolutely hated this, but yeah, I really did realize how could I sell something that I not only didn't believe in, I never even seen. And so I was not far into it when I started faking my sheet, right? And I'd go sit in a parking lot somewhere and I'd read a book and I'd, okay, well, there's this business, because I knew they were never going to follow up. And, and I might have figured out, okay, here's who I could have talked to there. But that right there put such a bad taste in my mind, that I think that's why that I hate sales. I do not want to do sales. And that I think is a big part of what it is. We don't get trained, but more importantly, as I said, how could I sell something I had never even seen?
Now, do you recall what made you choose a job in sales to begin with?
I needed a job. I had bills to pay.
Yeah, here's the thing, and I often joke about, as we come across more women that are beginning to embrace entrepreneurship, I always say that there's 5 ways to become wealthy. And I'm going to see if I can remember them all without preparing for it. You either inherit it, you marry into it, you own your own business, which is what we would recommend women, you are in sales, or you win the lottery.
Right.
I did remember them. I've done almost all of them except winning the lottery. But the main thing is sales is an art form for
Mhm.
starters. There's a skill set
Right.
to it.
Mm-hmm.
There's skills, there's aptitude, there is many things. But the thing that is new, and this is the part where, I don't have the US statistics, but I'm certain Stacey has them, in the back of her hand. But in Canada, 80% of the workforce works for small to mid-sized enterprises.
Mm-hmm.
So they generally work for an owner-operated
Right.
kind of business.
Mm-hmm.
There's, in my experience and opinion, not enough emphasis up until now, because I do believe that's beginning to shift. There's not enough emphasis in translating the passion of the founder onto the entire team.
Right.
Right? And then it becomes a commodity. It becomes, I'm just pushing
Right.
laptops,
It's the paycheck.
computers. Yeah.
Mhm.
And then, at the end of the day, we all know that from the top number to the bottom number, there's a great discrepancy, right? The company could be making, $100 million, yet their payroll may not hit 2 million, meaning as a percentage of what comes in, right? So then at the end of the day, there's a little bit of that undercurrent that begins to build that, what am I doing this for? Right? Like, what's the good enough reason? Especially, we're not speaking entrepreneurship. We're
Right.
speaking corporate. Because if you're experiencing this in entrepreneurship, we have an entire other conversation.
I know. You need
when
to be
you're-
thinking about what you're doing.
Yeah, correct, right? Like when you're selling for someone else, when you're an agent representing either a product or a service, right? There needs to be a greater reason for purpose. And I believe the younger generations, we're seeing that shift in the workforce. The Gen Z, millennials, they need impact. They need to know what this organization stands for. And I believe that is shifting also people's comfort zone in representing, because now you're representing a value, a brand, a social impact, right? Social change. And there has to be pride, and that goes to leadership. So if someone in your organization doesn't like sales, don't go to the sales team. Go to the person at the top that's got the vision and mission going, right? And I think we're seeing a shift, at least here in Canada, we certainly are. And I'll turn it to Stacey for our U.S. report.
This is fun. I'm just sitting here enjoying listening to this.
Yes. Well, I'm just going to say the States is very similar. So if we're going to talk about sales training, I'm glad, because that's what my book was written for the entrepreneur and also the sales manager.
But the salesperson should think of themselves as an entrepreneur.
Yes.
Whether they work for someone else or not. Sorry, I had
That's exactly what I was going to say, is the premise of the book is no matter who you represent, you're really representing yourself. And I would like sales managers to be able to support that philosophy when they're training and supporting and managing a team of individuals who, and I love what Carolina said about the fact that somebody starts a company with a mission and a vision. And what happens is, and first off, I was appalled to hear that you didn't even get to see what you were selling. I mean, I would hope that isn't true anymore.
It never occurred to me to ask.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, I would like to think this many years later, perhaps that's changed. And I can remember when that used to be the truth completely. And I used to do advertising for hotels. So I know that was the truth. But coming forward, that if a sales manager and the top of the company who has hired that sales manager understands that they do have a group of individuals who have chosen to support that mission and vision, let's not just assume they're doing it for the same reason the company owner decided to
Right.
do it.
Mm-hmm.
That this will require all different ways of management, of review, of compensation. Okay, I was having a conversation today with a group of salespeople. I said, do you ever get compensated for how long you maintain a relationship with a client? Not a one. Not a one.
Mm-hmm.
And
And to
we
me,
all
that's a
know,
huge thing.
Deb and Carolyn,
Mhm.
we all know it is harder to
Mm-hmm.
keep a client than it is to get a new one. We've all done the one and
Mm-hmm.
dones. It's the, can you sustain a
Mm-hmm.
relationship?
Right.
And to not have one person, all representing other companies,
Mm-hmm.
different companies, not one being compensated for that.
Mm-hmm.
This is why I'm saying the entire industry requires an overhaul.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, the individual doesn't have to wait because there's so many opportunities to go out and represent products and services or
Mm-hmm.
yourself without needing to be hired, right? You can volunteer to represent. There's
Mm-hmm.
tons of network marketing and affiliate marketing businesses that will take you in a heartbeat.
Mm-hmm.
But the entire industry requires an overhaul at this point.
Right. And in your book, the premise is obviously, as we've been talking about, it has to be authentic. You have to love what you're doing, all of those things, but it comes down to what are your core values?
Yes.
Because if those are not in alignment, and I love that Carolina mentioned the Gen Xers, Gen Zers, millennials, all of those, because they want that. And when people fuss about that, I'm like, hello, we raised them. But in order to even to work there, let alone sell the product, we want to know that it aligns with our hearts and our souls and our thought processes. So Stacey, talk to us more about what core values are and why that's absolutely critical to have this alignment.
Well, I believe, and I'm with you. I love that Carolina brought that up. I believe that everybody knows core values. We know what our beliefs are. And probably more today than any time in history do we have beliefs and opinions. Yes, I think we can
Right.
all agree with that.
Yeah, just turn on
What,
social media and you're going to be told what they are.
well, I would say let's not let other people dictate that, but we all have our own.
Mm-hmm.
So let's stop, and I'm going to use the term deliberately, selling out into someone else's.
Mm-hmm.
Own our belief, know what you believe in, know what you stand for, then go represent. If you're not going to represent yourself as a coach or you're not starting your own business, make sure that what you're choosing to represent, and this, as Carolina also said, it's not about the sales department. Everyone in an organization is a representative of that organization. It is not necessary. There are times in the cycles when it's maybe harder to get a job. That is not one of these times.
No,
It was
very
on the
weird
news
right
again
now.
this morning. Yeah, you can pick and choose. This is the time to get into alignment with yourself, with your values, with what you're selling, and then who you want to sell it to. This is, the best time of all ever in business, if you look at history.
Right.
And we have the ability to follow these folks who are younger than us, those of us who are older, younger than us. Carolina's raised one of those younger folks. I have not. To own that there's more to life than the paycheck.
Right.
And if we can get the paycheck along with the quality of life, all the better. So that's where I'm standing.
I agree. And it's interesting. I recently just talk about case studies, right? So Stacey and I do a lot of field work. We speak ad nauseum every day of the week, every week. And I came across this lady that on paper sounded fabulous, right? She's CPA, she is in Chicago, so she's got a very marketable commodity, an understood service. She's in a major city, and yet she's floundering, right? And the reason I say she's floundering was because she tried building her own practice, owning her own business, and now she's considering going back to work. for someone else.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, okay, that's okay. Actually, there's nothing wrong in working for someone else. Like not every,
Right.
the easiest way to make money is to work
Mm-hmm.
for someone else. But I was a little bit surprised because I was like looking up to, to the call, and as always, I go in like you, and I read whom I'm meeting with. So I was like, oh, she's got what it takes.
Mm-hmm.
When I met with her, it was a complete wah, wah, wah. And I thought,
Mm-hmm.
what's going on,
Mm-hmm.
right? And she said, you know what? I'm just not a marketer. And I thought, yeah, so what?
Yeah.
Work with someone that is.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, why does that have to be the be all and
Right.
end all?
Mm-hmm.
And that is a conversation that Stacey and I have had quite a bit. That even in corporations, we often call sales and marketing, and it's like no. First comes the marketing, then comes the sale. So there's a lot of things that need to happen for that sale to feel yummy, to wake up every day going, okay, who do I get to talk to today,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Right.
A number of things. One is you guys identified, alignment, that you believe in the product. I once, in my role of CFO, had a situation where someone, and I mean, they were an executive, a sales executive, and they were given what was supposed to be a top prize account. And I'm not going to mention who it is, but it's somebody, a big global organization that part of their catalog, they sell guns.
Mm-hmm.
And he personally does not believe in that.
Right.
So
Mm-hmm.
he was not going to accept the portfolio, and it became this like, well, if you don't take it, then your position.
What's wrong with you?
Yeah, like how much money this is. And anyway, so it was an interesting thing to watch. But what I'm saying is, there's many things that you can do within your control to queue up all of the pre-work so that by the time you're having a value add conversation, a problem solving conversation, is easier to do. And that comes with the marketing, and back to what you said, if you had sampled the products and services, it would have been easier for you to talk about it. Right? And the same with solopreneurs. A lot of entrepreneurs and solopreneurs. So the sale is not the moment. It's not a single isolated moment when you are trying to provide a solution. The sale occurs in in a value ladder, right? You need to understand what problem you're solving. In fact, we need to stop asking little kids, what do you want to be when you grow up? We should be asking, what problem do you want to solve?
That's right.
So they
I
need
love
to
that.
understand that what they do brings value. And when you think of it that way, if someone knocked on my door and said, I'm here to solve all your problems, you'd be like, well, welcome in, come in. Like, where do we get started? That's the thing. Like, nobody wants to be sold. Let's just own it, right? Nobody wants, the second somebody begins to sell, you get the glaze, right? But everybody, every single person given the opportunity would purchase a solution to the problem on the spot.
Right.
Right? And it's all in Stacey's book. And this is where we actually collaborate on a masterclass series every single Wednesday, where we teach people this. Right? It's a shift in thinking. In the second, like, think about it. Talk about core values, right? If you know how to avoid pain for someone else, if you know how to get them to happiness, if you know how to get them to success,
right,
and you have the answer,
you should want to share it
yourself. Exactly. Right? Exactly.
Right.
So all that work needs to occur. And this is why when Stacey first approached me, and actually we had just met, when she said, you know what, I'm writing this book and I think it would be a great case study. And I write a lot of case studies. I've never been a case study. So I just thought, sure, we'll give it a try, right?
Well, we hadn't just met. I want to say it's not like I was looking for people. I was evaluating people against criteria, and I had experience with powerful women today. I just hadn't really consulted with her or talked with her. So it looked like I came out of nowhere, but it wasn't like I was begging people to be in the book.
No.
It was strategic. We know it was very strategic.
I mean it from recognizing that spark.
Right.
When you find the people that are in your same track and going,
right, right away.
We can go further together. We can spread the message. And again, that's that collaboration, right? Like nobody wins alone.
Right.
And anyways, that's what I meant.
No, it's perfect. And I want to say, you say what you said is so very true. All of it. I loved what you said. If someone came to the door and knocked and said, "What problems can I solve for you today?" First off, I'm sure people go, "Huh?"
We'd shut the door.
Well, let me tell you, right?
What are you selling me?
That's well, but if it was sincere, like, I mean, we can't imagine that. But that is exactly. There has to be steps before you make an offer, and if we replace the word "sell" with the suggestion, it's a suggestion. You don't have to sell if there's already relationship. So Deb, you and I are just getting to know each other. Let's imagine that we've liked each other now for months, right? We're friends. And I come across something that I believe would help your podcast, like some way that you could get the podcast out further, right? And it happens to be that I would get a commission if you buy it. Okay. And I say to you, Deb, over the months, you've been sharing with me a little bit of frustration that people aren't, paying. You said something to me about more people could be watching on video, but in this day and age, more and more people are listening to audio. Well, if I came across this amazing thing that gets people back to video, and I said to you, I came across this thing, you may want to check it out, and you bought it. Isn't that sales?
Yeah. And, but the key is that we built that relationship before.
That's right.
And, and so I talk about this a lot on the programs, and it is the whole know, like, trust.
Yeah.
And, there are things that we buy just because we need milk or whatever, but the trust is where the money exchange is. And, we don't go from, "Hi, how are you?" to "Give me your money." You use the example in your book, and we've all heard it, of, you walk into somewhere and brand new person and you say, "Hey, you want to get married?" Yeah. You might actually find somebody who's like, "Sure," but 99.9999 you're going to get looked at.
I would like to say that somebody who says "sure" is probably not somebody you want to marry.
No, there's something else going on there, right? Yeah. Yeah, and so it's we have to date first, and so we have to get to know people, because more importantly, I want to know that if you recommend that product to me, first I do want to know, are you familiar with it, as opposed to just and even if it's just, "Hey, I saw something on Facebook," but if it's your product, I want to know that you'd use it yourself, like we've been saying. And, and because I know you, I trust that you aren't just selling me down the river to make that sale.
That's exactly perfectly said. That's what I said. Know, like, trust. First, you meet somebody, you have a little bit of chit chat to figure out if you like each other. And hopefully, in this age of social media, which is how I was able to explore Carolina before she even knew I was
we stalk a little bit.
That's right. You look to see, what are they talking about? What have they put out in the world? What's their website? What are they offering as a lead? You get to know them, or you get to know the company they represent, so that when you make the connection request, it isn't I'm telling everybody, please, if you contact me, do not say this. If you want me to respond, do not ask me to tell you more about my company. There is so much out there about my company and what I do and what I stand for.
Or worse, get it wrong.
What?
I love the people on LinkedIn who send me notes and say, "We should connect so that we can do your social media."
Oh
And
gosh, yes.
if I even respond, which most of the time I don't, it depends on, if what mood I'm in of the day. I might respond and say, clearly you did not read my profile.
Yeah.
Or, we'll get you on podcasts. Okay, I've done over 800. So I'm pretty sure I know what to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like, no, spend that 5 minutes, folks. It's all out there. At least getting a little basic information before you insult them.
That's right. That is what means getting to know. The conversation continues. That's engagement, and engagement can't happen without questions. And I know Carolina mentioned that. She's very, very, very good at that. And then after a period of time, as you said, Deb, the more we like somebody, trust automatically starts showing up. We can harm that trust immediately. And if we do the things that we say we're going to do, we can keep building the trust. So Carolina has a beautiful, beautiful approach to this, and I'd love for her to share that.
Yeah, sorry, thank you. Is getting to trust. What does that mean, right? And so communication is one of my passions. So let's break it down, right? So what does getting to trust, to know and trust means? So we see it perfectly displayed. A lot of SaaS, the software as a service,
Right.
platforms do it best. They have a free version. Sample us. Give us a try, right? It's for free, limited, but it's for free. Then there is the different offerings, right? So that is one way. And a lot of entrepreneurs become discouraged on providing content for free, right? And Stacey is actually a great business coach and social media coach when it comes to teaching people what kind of content do you provide for free, how much of it, right?
Right.
And so that you're not giving away, the farm for free,
but you're giving them a sample.
But it's called social proof. And that is one of the things that we're extremely passionate at Powerful Women Today. Because, listen, I'm 50-ish, and I pretty much have not stopped school since kindergarten, right? I'm doing
How cool is that?
I love it. And I'm already thinking what degrees I'm going to do after I finish this one. So, but the point is, every single educational institution, from a university to a college to a workshop to whatever, everybody's really good at dispensing information. This is what you should do, right? And you're like, yes, while you're there, while you're listening, all this stuff, and then very few organizations will actually show you how, not just tell you, but show you how. Even fewer, and that's where we stand with giants, are the ones that we do it together, right? Because it goes to social proof.
Right.
Back to what we were saying. One of the things that we do with all of our mentor experts is that we help to develop all the different opportunities, whether it's be published, have a TEDx, be on a speaker associate, like show. Don't tell me, show me, right?
Right.
And even on YouTube, like you see it, or like people asking for the sale first, like, okay, let me understand this. You're going to provide the service. I don't know who you are, but I have to pay you first.
Right.
Okay, that's not a win-win.
No.
Right? Like, and you even see it on YouTube videos where I have not even seen the video yet, and you're already asking me to subscribe.
Right. I know. I'm like, wait a minute. What the heck?
Dude, I don't even know what you're going to be talking about. Right? So there's these, like, no, like, pace yourself. Back to what you said about dating, right? It's like, we first get to, we get to know each other. We find out, and sometimes it's years after, by the time you figure out the stranger, the stranger next to you, right? But the point is, sales has changed. Relationship building has changed. Being a solution provider has changed. And a lot of it has to do with proof. Now, we have the most educated population that we've ever had in history, with
Right.
access to price comparison,
Mhm.
service comparison. They're, whoever wants to be educated doesn't need to go to university. They can just do research, right?
Right.
So really it comes down to the right fit
Mhm.
for the right reasons at the right time,
Mhm.
right? In the right, really almost
Mhm.
customizing the solution
Right.
to you, because that's the whole
Mhm.
point of diversity and
Mhm.
inclusion, right? So we're in a whole different world. And
Mhm.
we do what I love about the work that Stacey's doing is that one of the biggest barriers to success is the ability to sell
Mhm. Right. Mhm.
for solopreneurs, right?
Mhm.
And women entrepreneurs. And right now there's so many women starting businesses,
Mhm.
right? And everybody worries about the logo and the website. It's like, no, spend your time training how to sell even before you even think of
Right.
starting a business,
Mhm.
right?
Right.
Like there's an unlearning that needs to take place.
Mhm.
If you're in corporations now, there's so much remote work
Mhm.
that for anybody to be able to transfer that mission and vision and why we're bringing this product to the world is that much more challenging because the communication needs to be
Right.
different. And at the solopreneur and in entrepreneurial, there needs to be confidence, there needs to
Mhm.
be energy, right? Like when you and I jumped right in, we did not know each other, right? And we're
I
like,
know. We were like, "Hello, how are you?"
there's energy, there's
But part of that is we knew
enthusiasm
Stacy and we
here.
trusted Stacy.
Correct. There's that trust transfer. Yes, absolutely. But these are all the sophisticated, because they're really sophisticated,
Mhm.
because, it is an art form.
Mhm.
And in reading, funny, in all of my professional experience, I've only come across two women that have such a passion for sales
Mhm.
that they literally wrote the book about it,
I love it. I love
right?
it.
And
Mhm.
Stacey being one of them.
Mhm. Right. And I think the ultimate in sales is that we don't actually make them because we've built up that relationship so much that they know, hey, I'm friends with her on Facebook, LinkedIn, TikTok, wherever, and I already know her and I trust her, and oh, hey, I know that she happens to do this, so I'm just going to go ahead and ask her about it. And that's always, I love it when that happens. It's like, oh, so you never made the pitch yourself. You just built up such a great relationship that they knew to come to you when they needed that, or to tell their friends or whatever it is about it. But yeah, you never did the buy from me type of thing.
And that's conversations that solve problems, as Carolina said,
Mhm.
naturally lead people to ask,
Mhm. Yep.
what do you know?
Mhm.
Where are you getting this
Mhm.
information? What,
Mhm.
more questions.
Right.
That's why I say you mentioned created a program called Go
Mhm.
for Yes, which
Mhm.
is how do you have people want to say yes
Mhm.
without using manipulation
Mhm.
tactics? There are
Right.
manipulation
Mhm.
tactics. This is without that. This
Mhm.
is called normal human behavior,
Mhm.
acting like a human being
Mhm.
that has people want to, not just want, but
Right.
do feel comfortable.
Mhm.
Their nervous system is calm
Mhm.
and they can have the freedom. They feel the freedom
Mhm.
to ask for more
Right. Mhm.
information because they know they're not going to get
Mhm.
attacked.
Right.
And and if we can help people put their guard down and keep it down, not put it
Mhm.
down and then, rush in.
Mhm.
They put it down. Everybody put down your
Mhm.
arms, right? Put down the
Mhm.
weapons, step away. Now we have this
Mhm.
conversation. I can show you where I learned
Mhm.
this information. I can show you a website where you can
Mhm.
learn this information. I can tell you the story about how it's working for me,
Mhm.
why I love this product, why I love the service, or why I chose to be
Mhm.
a coach or a service provider. Here's my story. It even starts, I teach people and I'm going to say I'm not the only one. I didn't create this. I saw this process, and now I teach it to folks how to explain what we do. When someone says, "What do you do?"
Mm-hmm.
I don't say I do.
Right.
I start with, for people who have X problem, or I'll show you. This is my one-liner. It's long. It's one line. For women who are frustrated, they're not making the difference they want to make fast enough. There's my first part of my one-liner. So it captures people's attention, right? Okay. So then I say, I have a process that's fun that helps them identify their ideal audience, know where to meet them and how to talk to them, how to increase their own income, and leave a legacy that lives on long after they're gone. Because that's what people who want to make a difference want. They want something that lasts a long time. So if I say that to someone, I'm not pointing my finger in their face and going, if you want this, I'm saying this is what I do. If they want it, they ask me, how do you do that? And that's how I want conversations to begin.
Right. Well, oh my gosh. Can you believe it? We have almost filled the hour. And we just barely scratched the surface on this. So this definitely means we need to have you ladies back on again, because I didn't get through any of my notes. And there's so much more that we want to talk about. But I do want to give both of you the opportunity to tell folks a little bit more about what it is that you do and how people can reach you. And so, Carolina, why don't you go first?
Certainly, thank you. So our organization is called Powerful Women Today, and you can find us at powerfulwomentoday.com. And we are a boutique accelerator for success. We help women professionally and personally achieve their goals. As simple as that. Mission and vision, champion women's emotional and financial independence. And we do that through mentorship, through coaching, accreditation, publishing, speaking, and podcasts, to basically help them get their message out. And we basically are a peer advisory. There's about 50 of us that work together as a consortium and providing interdisciplinary solutions. We're master level clinicians, doctors, PhDs, licensed professionals, and we help women achieve what they want to achieve at the pace they want to achieve it. And that's what we do.
I love it. And how can someone connect with you?
Certainly. Carolina at powerfulwomentoday.com is through email, and of course through LinkedIn. We're a LinkedIn-based organization, and you can find us there, either through Powerful Women Today or Carolina Billings.
I love it. I love it. Well, Stacey, tell us more about what you do. Obviously, we'll have the link to the book in the show notes, but tell us a little bit more about that and then how people can find you.
Well, you can find me actually through Powerful Women Today. You can find me on Facebook, Stacey Hall 1. You can find me on LinkedIn, Stacey Hall 1. And as I said, I'm primarily not just women. I do have some men. And I will say my primary ideal audience is a woman, which is why I'm in partnership in projects with Carolina around Powerful Women Today, because I know that in the heart of a woman entrepreneur, they went into business to make a difference in other people's lives. And I would love to be able to support them with that. I do have a website. It's Stacey Ann without an E. So Stacey's with an E, Ann is without an E, staceyannhall.com/home, HOME. And I know you'll put that out there too. I have free courses that anybody can access.
Lots of great resources.
Right. And primarily I'm saying go anywhere. This is on Kindle. It's on Audible. It's in paperback from every bookstore. You get to have Carolina's wisdom in it. And if you do want to know more about Carolina and me, just go to powerfulwomentoday.com. Powerfulwomentoday.com. You'll get us both.
I love it. I love it.
The book is now #1
Oh,
Stacey's is #1 Amazon bestseller.
I
In
love it. So
let's say,
cool.
which category is in sales
Mhm.
and in that something?
Mhm.
Sorry.
That's
Right.
well in a
Mhm.
few categories, business and
Mhm.
money, and
Mhm. Right. Makes sense. Mhm.
subcategory sales,
Right.
sales and selling.
Yeah. And as I said, I read it, and it really is great information and, easy to read. If you're thinking, oh, it's going to be talking about sales. No, it's fun. It's a great read. So, the link will be in the show notes, and I do encourage folks to get it.
Thank you.
Well, I always like to close by asking my guests for a final thought that they have for everyone. So, Stacey, do you want to go first?
And this, my final thought is, if you don't know what your top 3 core values are, take a moment now before you do anything else and write them down. What do you think are the 3 values that you believe in the most? No matter what else you do, if you can remember those and have them top of mind, life will become much easier to navigate.
Perfect. And Carolina, what would you like to leave everyone with?
I would say find the skip in your step. Find your passion. And treat it with the seriousness that, you know, almost as if your life depended on it, because it does. It speaks of quality. It's every day. It's today, not yesterday, not tomorrow, but really finding and connecting in doing everything with a full heart, or don't bother doing it.
Mhm. I love it. Well, ladies, this really has been such a treat. And we do have to do it again because this is such a powerful subject and we need to just keep talking about it and keep talking about it. So we will have you on again and this will be fantastic. But I've been talking with Stacey Hall and Carolina Billings. I'm Deb Creer. And until next time, everyone have a great day.
Tune in for our next program for even more trends, best practices, and techniques for how to make your business a success. The Business Power Hour, hosted by Deb Creer, is proud to be part of the C-Suite Network.